Welcome to Cavs NFL Pick'em Show Week 1. We are finally back with some NFL, and we are on patreon.com/NFL Pick 6. That's where you want to go. NFL Pick 6 on Patreon, where Billy Body and myself are going to give 3 picks each week. And we are going to give it on that Patreon. We are going to do shows individually each week where I am in charge of all of the primetime games plus certain teams. So certain teams that I will always do, whether they are in primetime or not, are Chicago, San Francisco, the Jets, and Green Bay. So I've lucked out this week because all of those teams, except for one, are in prime time. So it's even less of things I need to talk about this week. But that does not hold us down to picking the games from just the ones we talk about here. We will not give you the winners on this. We're going to kind of give you a little bit of maybe which way things might be leaning, but you will want to go to patreon.com/NFL Pick 6 for our official bets. So let's get to it with week 1. All right, so we have starting off the year, of course, as you all know, it is Thursday night, and that is where the champions always start off. And it is a rematch, and it is the Baltimore Ravens going into the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, as you remember last time, it was... The Baltimore Ravens seem to do this. This is what they seem to be known for. They will be like, oh my God, everybody is ready to go now. We're finally going to do it. The Chiefs have finally fallen off, and they had no offense. They had nobody to catch the ball, and the Ravens were hot. And what happened? Mahomes happened. Now, last year, if you also remember, to start off the year, because the Chiefs have won 2 in a row now, they had to go against Detroit. And it is always the lean-to saying, pick the world champions. It's their opening night. They just came off winning world championship. Always pick the champs. They're at home, and Detroit beat them. Maybe that shakes them up. Maybe that makes them wake up a bit so they are not thinking, well, all we got to do is show up because the champs always just win that first game no matter what. This is a hell of a matchup, and Lamar Jackson says it's not a revenge game. Every game to him, or quote-unquote, actually every game to him is a revenge game. It's not something special because they, beat them. But you got to think he really wants this game. And also, if you look at some injuries here, there are a ton of injuries, but there isn't a ton that are out. The 2 that are 100% out is Hollywood Brown, the wide receiver for Kansas City. He's got that shoulder dislocated or separated in the first preseason game. Actually, the first play on offense for them, he separated that. And you have a lot of other guys who are like, oh, they have them listed, and it's full participant, like Chris Jones, their great defensive tackle, who just re-signed the other year. But all of these other guys, Nick Bolton, their linebacker, you have some offensive linemen, you have Joshua Williams, they're a corner. But they are all full participants in practice, so not something to really worry about other than Hollywood being out. So you might want to factor that in. Although Xavier Worthy is a monster, and he is the fastest man to ever do the 40. So, and he can actually catch the ball too. So when you see him, he's not just one of these guys that's a track star that the ball's going to hit him in the head. He can actually play, and he played for Texas, I believe, very well. On the other side, like I said, with Baltimore, you're looking at Rasheen Ali. He is the running back there, one of the running backs, but you have, of course, King Henry out there, which is going to be a real fun new scenery for him. But this running back, he's got a neck thing. He's limited in practice. He's doubtful Isaac, the linebacker, hamstring, he is out. So 2 people officially out, probably that doubtful one out as well. But if you look at this, the line here is KC -3, and the over-under is 47.5. I am going to warn everybody this first week when it comes to this. A lot of times, everybody kind of knows that is into the gambling scene, and if you are kind of new to this, I'll give you a little heads up. But for the most people who listen to this, probably already kind of know this. The defense is always ahead of the offense to start the year. It takes a little bit for the offense to get going, so the unders are always looked at more favorably to go for and have a low-scoring games. Keep that in mind. When this game is just 3, kind of don't like to look at it that much. I don't know if I will really be playing this game on my personal card because it is only at 3. Green Bay not going into Philly, but going into Brazil. They are starting this out Friday night. Green Bay going into Philly. My arch nemesis, Green Bay, but I consider myself very fair. Tough, but fair. I hate Green Bay. I hate them. I'm not terribly fond of Philadelphia either, though. So it's not like, ooh, I love Philly. So you don't need to take my thoughts with a grain of salt when it comes to this game either. They are doing this in Brazil. Does Jordan Love, he got his contract. I mean, they basically saw 1 year of him and then had to pay him. They had 1 year to play around with money since Rodgers left or got kicked out, basically. And now he gets more than Rodgers got. He is the highest paid quarterback. They gave him a fortune. So you better hope you had the second half of Love instead of the first half. I think they feel a lot more confident, obviously, that he was shittier in the first and did better in the second than if it was vice versa. That's for sure. Let's look at some of their injuries here. And when it comes to the Packers, you have a few people, but they're all limited in practice. Their game status is not even, there is no in or outs from them. They just said limited in practice, which makes you say, okay, they're going to be okay. Nobody's really going to be hurt here. Romeo Doubs would be somebody you would want to look for since it's one of their receivers. And that's basically the only, name that you really want to fucking worry about actually on here. And like I said, everybody's just a limited practice. When you go to the Eagles side, Devin White, linebacker, he's the only one who is out with an ankle injury. He did not participate in practice. Everybody else, A.J. Brown, who really won over there. They got 2 monster receivers over there on that side, and he was a full participant in practice. Landon Dickerson, who is their guard, full participant. Isaiah Rodgers, their corner, was the only one who was limited when it came to practice. That game is Philly -2.5. I like that number much better whenever you're getting that 2.5 and you're not having to give that full 3 because it kind of sticks you on things wrong. That is something better to look at. It's a neutral site. We have to have the Eagles try to get out of their own way, if you think about that, too, because the Packers ended their season well, other than, of course, losing not to get to, further on. But the Eagles were like a world beater, and you were thinking, shit, are they going to lose? Or maybe they just have 1 loss? And then they lost a fucking ton. It was like they lost 6 out of 7 or 5 out of 6, one of those things. And they were just horrific. They have a new center this year. You got to think about that. And it's not like it's a video game where you go, whatever, it's a center. Who cares? They hike a ball. Center does so much, pointing out so many things in the coverages. They're like the second quarterback. And to be losing Kelsey is a big, big deal. Their over-under is 49.5. This is a game that I am going to look at very deeply and possibly have on my card when it comes to Friday night. Going into Sunday, we have the Tennessee Titans going into my Chicago Bears. Like I said, when it comes to, not looking at things or taking things with a grain of salt, if anything, I always see my glass as half empty because I have dealt with this for so long in my life with, a bad team. But your loyalty, you stay with your team. At this age, what are you going to? I'm not a child. I'm not going to. I'm going to go to a winning team because they might finally have done it now. Now the Bears are favored by 4 here. It did go up. It has gone up in the last few weeks or so, where it's like it can't go drastically up unless somebody's injured and hurt with that is like really known or something like that, because it's week 1 and who knows. It's 44.5 is the over under, which, like I told you, it's usually looking at unders. You're usually looking at the unders this first week for sure. And this game gives me pause because I see so many ways that this can go. I'm pretty confident that Chicago's going to win. Don't know if I'm that confident that they're going to win by 4, but I'm confident they're going to win. So they might be something you would want to put into a tease a little bit and be able to take down some points, or even shoot up the amount of points and then take the other side in a tease too. But they have the potential to put up a lot of points, but you have not seen them do anything yet this year. And other than, of course, preseason, and take that for what it is. I take it half and half with preseason. You're still playing. You're still playing against people. The starters are still playing against starters. And then it's, okay, now it's the backups. But you are still seeing what the starters are able to do. And they did prove to me that they are able to function. It looks like a lot different team than it did the other year. Caleb has a ton of weapons on that team. That's why I look at it. I say, okay, the offensive line, couple holes, right? That's where it needs to be fixed up. But we've seen him on the run making crazy throws. But he has Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Odunze, and then he has tight ends. He has Kmet. He's got the other one from Seattle out there. He's got Swift in the backfield. It's a lot of weapons to deal with. And if he's not trying to win a game, and this is not some juggernaut that they're going against with Mr. Mayonnaise over there at quarterback for Tennessee, this could be Levis. This could be a game that the Bears could actually easily win through. But, like I said, we haven't seen anybody. It's week 1. It's the hardest week in the NFL. When you look at the injuries here, on the Titans side, there was only 3 guys even listed that had any issues at all. And I think it might be a little early at this point. And the reason I'm doing this show at this point, too, is because I'm in charge of the primetime games, which start tomorrow. So this needs to be talked about now. And some of these are still waiting status-wise. When it comes to Tennessee, Jamal Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, which that's a fucking name you want to. He was limited in practice. When it says limited, I'm thinking they're playing. Otis Reese, their linebacker, limited. Jamal Adams, their safety, it said did not participate in practice. That is something you're going to want to see. Now, I got my ear closer to the ground when it comes to the Bears. Obviously, I listen to the radio stations with them, and they have a few people. It's Keenan Allen. It's Ryan Bates, their center/guard. Roschon Johnson, one of their running backs, not their head guy. Pickens, one of the defensive tackles, not a main guy. Montez Sweat, who's a monster. Now, from what I heard, is everybody's going to go. These were all limited in practice, so take that for what it's worth. But from what I heard, everyone is going. So I would not worry too much about that when you're going for that. Next one we got is the LA Rams going into Detroit Rock City on your Sunday Night Football. Detroit, after, if it wasn't for their coach, I mean, you could also say if it wasn't for their coach, they don't, make it as well as they have been doing. However, they were going to the Super Bowl. He single-handedly lost them the chance to go to the Super Bowl last year against the Niners. He kept going for it, where if he just took the points, you're in the playoffs. I know that's how you got there in the regular season, by doing crazy shit. This is a one and done. You can't be doing that. Take the points and run. He did not take the points and run. He decided to go for it constantly, go for it, and failed. I think he did it only one time, but he failed all the rest, and they end up losing the 49ers. So this is that redemption tour. Do the Lions remember that they're the Lions and fall back down, or do they take that extra step as Billy has put for them to go to the Super Bowl when we did our last season preview? And by the way, on patreon.com/NFL Pick 6, we have the futures up there. So if you do go to sign up, you will see all the futures. You want to get in on that as quick as possible before the season starts so you can get your odds. And it's like a savings account. You're going to put your money in. You do diversify your funds, and you're going to get a return on your funds, because every year Billy does this. He gets a good payment at the end. It's just a matter of patience. People who don't want to who want their money right away are not going to sit there and wait around for the end of the year to go, yeah, I've collected. Although, if you do have the money to have that luxury and wait around a little bit, that you might want to do. Go check that out. So back to this game. On the Rams injured list, 0. Nothing. Now, I keep hearing from all the pros and all that kind of stuff that it is the Rams might win that division and all that. And I'm like shocked by this. For one, Stafford gets hurt. He gets hurt a lot. And for him to finish this entire season without sitting out, I highly doubt it. He's going back home to the Lions thing. We've done this already before. That's done with, where we got to go, oh, he's going back home. I wonder how that's going to be. It's old news at this point. They will give a polite applause, and then they will want his head on a stick. For the Lions, who is out here, limited practice. There's only one that did not participate. That is safety Strickland, not Swerve. Defensive tackle Reader, he was limited. So nobody is out as it says right now. And for the Rams, unless somebody falls down the steps, it doesn't look like anything will be going on when it comes to them as well. So looking at this line, Detroit is -3.5. And the over-under here is 50. Another one to look at with that over-under, and another one you might want to get in on a tease with. Week 1, beware. All right, last game we're getting to right here, and that is the Jets going to the 49ers. Now, I was way high on the Jets last year. I actually had them winning the Super Bowl last year. And then 4 plays later, that was over with. And if you think about it, they won 7 games, which is startling when they had nothing. They had nothing. Wilson, we all know how horrible. The White Wilson, he's terrible. And, boy, they still won 7 games. Very, very good defense. Now, this, as much as you think, okay, well, the 49ers, what they did last year, there's always that little hangover. And I started thinking, I go, no, there wasn't a hangover the other year. Oh, yeah, Philadelphia went against them the prior year. It was the Niners the year before, and they got to the NFC Championship, so that kind of wasn't a hangover. But the Eagles did fall apart at the end, so is that a lot of wear and tear? Is that McCaffrey having a lot of wear and tear on his body after? That's a running back having to do a lot of stuff, and as many games as almost possible, or one shy from the prior year. But it's every year. They're very good. And this is kind of their last dance, as it seems. They have to make money for Purdy starting next year, because he's like making less than I do at my job. And he is finally going to get paid. Everyone's gotten paid. They finally got Trent Williams back, their Hall of Fame tackle. You hope he's in shape enough to play. Has he been sitting around eating donuts? I don't know. It's kind of hard to just go and get your wind all of a sudden. Like I said, it's not like a video game where you could just go, okay, they're back, I'll go and play. Rodgers, a year older. You don't know how that's going to go, but I do expect him not to have hit the wall. I expect him to be as good as he once was before. I don't think he's hitting that thing at all. But the thing is, too, like Kirk Cousins with that primetime shit, anybody from the Packers apparently, and I mean, this is when Rodgers was on the Packers, couldn't beat the 49ers. Always lost to the 49ers, no matter what. In Lambeau, out of Lambeau, lost to the 49ers. Does that continue over when you get to another team? Like now, does Justin Fields be able to beat the Green Bay Packers because he's not on the Bears? Who knows? One of those deals. So maybe, I don't know if I really hold on to, well, San Francisco had him. They got him every time. Different team, whole new everything. You don't know. But first game, Monday night, big spotlight. 49ers are at home after just coming off the Super Bowl loss. Could be a difficult one to go to. San Francisco is favored by 4.5. I'm looking at, I will tell you, a lot of teases this week. I think I'm going to go tease heavy and have a lot of parlays when it comes to teasing. I will say that. My official picks will be on patreon.com/NFL Pick 6, the number 6, for all of your needs there. This is only at 43.5 points. So that is also something to look at. But this game should be something, when you look at the injury report, this is the only one I have seen on here that both teams, 0. Both of them, not one person listed, not one person with a stub toe, nothing. Everyone is ready to go. Like I said, ready to go, but are you in game shape, Trent? We don't know. But you got Deebo Samuel back. You got Ayuk back. Of course, you have Kittle out there. You got McCaffrey, who's a monster. And if you want to say a system quarterback, but Kyle knows how to pull the strings. Purdy is more than capable, as he has shown. People keep waiting for him to hit a fucking wall. He has shown he could play the fucking game. So that is it for this week for me. That is your first week of NFL. All of the primetime games, plus the one other game that I am assigned with the Bears and Tennessee. Those picks will be up. You want to get to that site as quick as you can. And when I do the show early, it's always best to get your bets in early too, because lines change quickly. If you kind of know, you go, why is this at this point so far, at this point spread? And then you wait until the game starts about, and guess what? That thing went up 3 points and you would have lost your best chance there. So keep that in mind. It's little things like that. The longer the season goes, the easier this gets for me. I know that for sure. And I'm looking forward to making some money this week. I got a lot of winners in my head and where I'm going, whether that be parlaying just straight up money lines. And I love doing that kind of a thing where I've done, 5. You get 5, a nice little group. You sprinkle a little bit down, and then they all hit, and boom, you get a good amount there. So when you see those teams that you're like, I know this is going to be, but beware week 1. That is my word to everybody. But go check out patreon.com/NFL Pick 6. Billy will have a show on this feed as well. You could hear him go over all the rest of the games, and he will be posting all of his picks as well on the site. So remember, get out there and go make that money.
He could go all the way.